Hi, welcome. God bless you and welcome. I might have repeated myself. Anyways, I'm so glad you're here. I appreciate it. So this one is how people in houses come across. And I'm going to use a couple examples that I've had to deal with in pretty recently. You don't come across as nice. And when you shred a person to pieces and then, tie it up with a little, oh, but it's only because I care. Are you fooling yourself? Does that make you feel better? Does that make you go home so you can have a nice, rest at night? Well, I only did what was best and I was only being encouraging. Ripping people to shreds aren't encouraging. It's just, especially when you're highly blessed and hypocritical. I've had two ladies, and I'm going to do like atheists and Christians in this. First two is atheist, and they're both, and they both have family members that own buildings or at least multiple houses in this area. The one, her family got into real estate back in the day before everything went sky high, and they own quite a bit. And so yeah, she doesn't like homeless. She's having a hissy fit because there's homeless in SoCal, and I love it. Actually, I've had that a couple of times recently of like, do you see all these homeless? It's just awful. They're just here for the weather. It's like, well, no shit, Sherlock. Like, if you have no heating and no cooling, where are you going to go? Are you really going to go up to like some high altitude mountainous area? Or even, you don't even have to be high altitude, but, are you going to go someplace where you like possibly could freeze half of the year to death, literally? Or are you going to be someplace that's mainly around 70 degrees? It's across as so intolerant and just asinine. It's like, oh, let me get this straight. So you don't have enough in the world. You have to have the best spots with no reminder that not everyone's a millionaire. It's ridiculous. There should be the whole coast should be a sanctuary for the homeless, whether in their cars or out in nature, because we need this weather and this climate more than anyone in the world does, because we have the least to combat with it. With no heat. Oh, I had one guy, he kept telling me to get a heater, and I'm just like, that doesn't sound too smart. He's like, yeah, it's great, it's totally safe. And then I saw him a few weeks later, and his leg was thoroughly burnt. It's like, how's that heater working for you? He was just like, yeah, your concerns might be, might be warranted. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stay away from heaters. Like, no, thank you. But yeah, at least the typical kind. But yeah, so that was really frustrating because the one woman was just flipping out, but she, wrapped it up with, oh, I care for you. I only want the best for you. It's like, if you only wanted the best, you wouldn't be fighting my existence. You wouldn't be outlawing me sleeping or parking. You wouldn't be outlawing me washing up. You wouldn't make it illegal for me to have an address, like a mailbox. Y'all are doing so much stuff to make life so excessively hard when we don't have the same deck of cards as you all do. You have so much more happening for you, and to piss and moan on the homeless is really, I don't know, maybe it makes you feel better. Maybe it's like a transference thing of, well, I can't really gripe about, the out of control politicians, or at least I feel I can't do anything about it. But hey, let me go harass the homeless. You can just have a whole group thing and, party and harass the homeless and pass laws and talk bad about them, whether it's just among ourselves or straight to their faces. Maybe that's how you get your anger out. And I sort of wonder sometimes if all the hostility isn't because with everything people in houses have, so many still are not happy. There are so many people in houses that do not smile, they do not laugh, they are addicted to alcohol and drugs, betting. They're not happy. With everything they have, nothing is enough. You're still not happy. I think being the last many years I have been homeless, people laugh. And I know I've laughed more since I've been homeless than before I was homeless. I don't know, something happens and you're just like, eh. I don't know, maybe you're jealous because we can actually smile and laugh despite everything we don't have and despite all the hostility and prejudice and discrimination. And another thing, I mean, we are so strapped with money, and especially like here, they keep jacking up the prices. It's really painful. Especially lately, they've really been jacking up prices with food. While most of America is overweight or straight up obese and deathly obese, that's really something you don't see in the homeless community are fat people and obese people. You really, you can blame it on drugs, but not everyone is an addict. There's people who are homeless are far more likely to have a healthier body weight than people in houses. Which is really weird because, I mean, we don't have the luxury of a stove and a refrigerator and ovens. We don't have the luxury of buying the nicest food. And yet, overall, we're health-wise healthier. Anywho, so yeah, then there was this other gal, which I sort of knew her a bit better than the first two. But again, I mean, she was only really, from what I could gather from her, she would have not been able to own a house, let alone a house where she was living. Family members owned the house she was living in, and they let her live there. But she's really attacking. It really got frustrating. It could be really frustrating to be around her because she could be really sweet, but she could only be sweet for so long. And then it's like, you suck. What are you thinking? How long are you going to do this? You know what? I'm going to be homeless until and unless likely, the American people stop looking the other way for politicians and stop discriminating and demeaning and illegalizing people who need the most help. I mean, you want people, and a lot of homeless people do have jobs, not everyone, but part of the issue is what do you do with your stuff if you do have a job, if you actually can get a job, especially if you're street. They don't want you to bring your bags in with you, and there's no viable place to go store it. I mean, I've actually helped people, washing their stuff and sometimes even keeping stuff in my vehicle for them, really important stuff like their blankets so they don't freeze at night, because that's one thing you don't want to get stolen are your blankets. One of the things, because that gets cold at night even in LA. But yeah, I mean, you don't blink an eye at the $700 billion a year we spend on defense. You don't blink an eye on the billions we give to foreign nations. I mean, I just heard something 128 billion or million, a ludicrous amount of money we're giving to Israel just for 1 year, just for their defense. Do you realize that Russia, big, bad, scary Russia, they're the closest people that spend as much as we do, and they're not even close to us. The U.S., $700 billion a year for defense. Russia, last time I knew, which was the other month, was $50 billion. $700 billion, $50 billion. We might be overspending on defense, which is really weird because we're just such a peaceful nation. Not. Yeah, so, and I mean, when I can't get, I'm literally, it's $20 a day. Really, try to live on $20 a day and have that cover everything. It's not pretty. It's just ridiculous, and whites are really discriminated against, and then you can't get a loan for anything. So, I mean, what do you want? I know, be in a building. Well, I can't own a house, and me and a lot of people have no interest in apartments, and if we're quiet and clean, leave us be. Why is this such a crisis in your head? Yeah, it was really frustrating, and she even attacked me on my health about how my knees were not a sign that I had health issues, but a sign I was completely intolerant. You're intolerant. I have to say, being homeless, life is so excessively different than people who live in houses. To actually tell homeless person, they're intolerant, is asinine, because I've actually come to terms and acceptance with the fact that I don't shower every day. I may not shower every week. I may not shower every month. I may only wash my hair twice a week. I don't get the luxury of baking and cooking. I don't get the luxury of knowing I get to sleep throughout the night without being harassed by locals, security guards, cops, and I don't even know if my vehicle is going to be graffitied when I get up in the morning. There's so much stuff that you have to just set aside when you are homeless. And to say that homeless people are intolerant, no, we're not the one passing laws to destroy and harass other people. That's people in houses. The last one is Joel Osteen. Two of his sermons, just comparing two of his sermons on how, like, homeless versus non-homeless. He had one where this lady was living in sin, had a child out of wedlock, and this pastor is going there to get her hair cut. And he made a point that he never brought her sin up, and you don't need to do that because people have enough issues. They know where they've fallen short. You don't need to do that. But this pastor just kept loving and being patient and giving the kid gifts, and eventually the woman wanted to come to church and get married to the father, and beautiful. But then in another one he had where there's a homeless guy and he wanted to give him money, but he felt he had to talk to him. And he wound up not giving him money because it was, quote, a lifestyle. It's like, it is a lifestyle, and it's the acceptance of, it is what it is. Sometimes this is all that people can do. And when everything is set up against you where you can't even get an address, which means you can't do anything with banking, I don't understand why people always are going on about acceptance, and yet if a homeless person accepts the fact and does the best they can, then it's, considered evil or, completely inappropriate. It really doesn't make any sense. But yeah, and what upset me was that he invited the guy to go to church, and the guy's like, sorry, but I'm busy. And, which he really flew off, like, he's a homeless person. What do you have to do? I mean, you're homeless. You don't have nothing. You don't have a house or a yard to take care of. It's really nasty. You know what? It's actually a full-time job being homeless. Just being in a vehicle, I mean, all you have to do is have a numbnut, cut you off, and you have to slam on the brakes, and everything gets rearranged in your car. And you're still cleaning your car, every week, unless you're a slob. And it's amazing when you have so little space, things get out of order really, really fast. You really have to keep up on it. But and you don't have the luxuries. I mean, it's not like I can go in the laundry room and do my laundry quick. I mean, or go to the kitchen and get my food. Everything is a journey. And that's another thing. Not only do homeless people it's not overly uncommon for them to have jobs, but they also, you can't have stuff to do. And when you're living in a life where no one wants you around and they will harass you regularly, you might not know that you're going to be there in a couple days. And a lot of people are disabled, which means your body isn't working correctly. And I've learned plans and goals go out the window, because you're surviving, and I'm thrilled at what people, I've been bedridden. I'm thrilled when I can go, especially if I can sit outside for a while and I can talk to people for a while. That's thrilling for me. That's a huge step. Some days, even if I can just sit out for a tiny bit, because I've had time, months and years, where I haven't even been able to do that, not even hold a conversation. And then you want me to make all these grandiose plans when I can't get my footing. I legally can't get a footing, because I'm having my health rubbed in my face, even though you look the way for the corruption of millionaires and billionaires, but you're going to hold me to the grill. So yeah, but homeless people do have things to do have obligations, and we're harassed a lot, so it's not like we can necessarily say, yep, I'm going to be there.